At the Paris Olympics last summer, for the first time in history, women finally achieved equal representation. Half the athletes were female. It is a milestone we're celebrating, right? Despite this fact, the overall media coverage dedicated to women's sport is currently stuck at a measly 15%. We are half the athletes, but we are getting less than a fifth of the attention. And when it comes to research, the numbers are equally shocking. While women tear the anterior cruciate ligament in the knee 4 to 8 times more often than men, while they are twice more likely to sprain their ankles, and while they have a higher risk of stress fractures, only 6% of research in the sports environment focuses solely on women. The picture vividly illustrates the ongoing struggle for women in sport. At first glance, you see equal condition, a man and a woman competing over the same distance. The lanes they face, however, are far from equal. One smooth, the other filled with obstacles, such unequal media coverage, overlooked higher ratio of injury, and little research on why and female physiology. As a former professional football goalkeeper, I stand in front of you today and speak about female-specific matters that are fundamental to every female athlete, but also to every active woman. For a long time, it has been assumed that if something works for a man, it will automatically work for women too. But it is not always true. Then women have something no man has, the menstrual cycle. And even if about 1.8 billion women menstruate each month, speaking about something so intimate like periods is still a taboo, especially if you are maybe from an older generation or when a course is not considered normal, such as when you no longer bleed for several months or have excruciating pain. Maybe now some of you may feel uncomfortable about the topic. Don't worry, so does half the world population feel once a month for an average of 40 years. You're not alone. I started playing football as an 8-year-old girl and kept playing for almost 30 years. I spent 20 years goalkeeping in 4 European leagues and retired at the FIFA Women's World Cup 2023 in Australia and New Zealand. For almost 27 years so, I trained like a man. That means following a recommendation in training science that had been designed mostly by men, for men, and that the menstrual cycle didn't matter in my training plan. Until Melanie Pauli bumped into my life and was hired as a strength and conditioning coach for our Swiss national team. How can you blame a goalkeeper coach for not training his or her goalkeeper in a female-centric way when only 6% of research focuses on women's sports? As a sport and conditioning coach, a sports scientist, and a former professional volleyball player, Melanie specialized in female-specific training not only by reading research, studies, and books about the topic, but also by trying it out herself, by taking part in some research, and by gently implementing some strategies with the national team players. Meeting her was a real opportunity. Melanie's energy is boundless, and when she presented the team with her findings and intention, I immediately bought in. Indeed, I considered myself a curious athlete, always keen on improving, and as a then aging goalkeeper, I was very much looking forward to keeping being competitive and to fully achieving my potential by training based on my physiology. She was so competent, so convincing, so passionate that I wondered why I hadn't thought of it before. In elite sports, those little changes can have a big impact. I must admit, however, it is hard for me to quantify the benefits. Then I have not only taken measures in training content, but also in recovery and nutrition. Did it impact my performance? I don't know it for sure, but I can say that I've never felt as good and fit as I did in my last year as a professional, and that I retired at the FIFA Women's World Cup at the peak of my potential and ability. All measures had an impact on my well-being and health in general, and an athlete who feels good performs better. That's why I'm now happy to share my experience as a professional athlete and to tell you how I did it. As of 2020, I started to track my cycle using an app to monitor my well-being and some symptoms that could have happened during the months. If I felt fatigued, I would have taken my phone and written it down, or after a sleepless night, I would have logged this fact in the app. Did I live with the anxiety of writing down everything I felt? Absolutely not. Sometimes I left it aside because it became tiring and stressful. Sometimes I just forgot it. But once you understand that tracking is an help to be aware of how you feel, to use your menstrual cycle to diminish your symptoms during the months, and to personalize your strategies, it turns out to be worth trying. Thanks to tracking, trends have been highlighted for the 4 phases of my average 32-day-long cycle. During the first phase, menstruation, estrogen and progesterone are at their lowest level, making it an ideal time for strength training to build muscles. At the same time, the decrease in progesterone triggers an inflammatory response. So it is a good idea to focus on what you eat. Nuts, kiwi, olive oils, or vegetables are great to mitigate the inflammation. After about 5 days of bleeding, a woman's body switches to the second phase to conclude the follicular part of the cycle until ovulation to prepare for possible pregnancy. During about 8 days, estrogen rises to peak level while progesterone stays quite low. It is still a great idea to do some high intensity and strength training, but you may be more fragile and prone to injury in this time due to the higher joint flexibility. In my case, before training, I used to include some stability exercises for the posterior chain of muscle that protect the knee, such as Nordic hamstring or single leg deadlift. If you are active yourself and doing some sport, you should watch out how you train, and you could add some stability exercises to prepare your body, such as the mentioned one or Copenhagen and landings, for example. After ovulation, the luteal phase of the cycle starts with estrogen beginning to drop off and then rising again, while progesterone rises to peak level and stays high, which may cause a body temperature increment up to 0.5 degrees and an increased heart rate. Hydration is particularly important, especially if you may train in the heat and sweat a lot. In Sevilla, where I played the last 2 seasons of my career, and where it is pretty hot, I didn't only drink water, but also had some isotonic drink, which contained salt and carbs to replace the sweat-induced losses. In the premenstrual phase 4, estrogen and progesterone decrease to the lowest point and trigger an inflammatory response that can lead to PMS, premenstrual symptoms. Take care of yourself and slow down, doing some low and moderate intensity training, focusing on mobility workout, such as yoga or Pilates, to reduce your symptoms, to help mitigate possible lower back pain, and to diminish stress. My recovery workout consisted of yoga, mobility, and stretching. To summarize the 4 advice for the 4 menstrual cycle phases and to help you remember them on your way home, I leave you with 4 keywords. Phase 1, strength. Phase 2, stability. Phase 3, hydration. Phase 4, relax. For every single phase, there are also several other advices, as you can see on the screen, related to nutrition, training, and recovery. The 4 key words should help call to your mind that the menstrual cycle is a fact that impacts daily life and sports. However, in every single phase and with the right strategies, a woman can perform and harness her menstrual cycle. I invite you to reflect on your health. Then for many decades, those woman-specific factors have been ignored or unspoken, and today, we must confront those inequalities. We must recognize the hidden challenges and work together to truly level the playing field. I invite you to take action, trying some of the advice mentioned to support your well-being. I invite you to stay curious, to ask questions, and to make it normal and safe to speak about female physiology. Then the first step toward change is awareness. I share in my own experience as a professional athlete, but we still need more research to make it even more evidence-based. More media coverage to spread it across female athletes and active women, hoping that the upcoming UEFA Women's Euro next summer in Switzerland will help boost both media attention and research. And in the end, it starts with all of us. Play your part to change things and to create a place where women and girls truly belong. Each one of us, men, boys, women, and girls. Then if we want to make a step towards equality, men should train like men, boys should train like boys, women should train like women, and girls should train like girls, each according to their own physiology.